Quick Clocks podcast. We are back in the studio here to talk NFL futures. We went over our college futures last week. Now we are going to the Professional Football League, and we are going to get right into it. We have division winners, player props. So we're going to give our Super Bowl picks, so make sure you hang on for those. But Mackenzie, let's start off by telling the fans what team you're affiliated with, in case they weren't able to already tell.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a super big Cowboys girl. Love it. Die hard. A Super Bowl or bust year. Love it for them.
Mm-hmm.
Psych.
Right.
Look at my guy, Jordan Davis is a fucking bird, baby. Let's see it. Oh, you probably can't see my hair.
No, the hair
Whatever.
I believe you, though. Jordan Davis.
Dogs go to Philly, man.
Dogs are barking
in Philly.
Not only JD, also Nakobe Dean, third round steal. I'm not even an Eagles fan, but I might have to be if those two players are on the field at all times.
This was one of the Eagles' best draft years in a really long time.
Yeah,
especially
if you're a Georgia fan.
Yes.
Which we are.
I
but
cried.
This is an NFL day.
I cried in Blue Sky. I was in a bar. They drafted Jordan Davis. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, that was hype. You got him top 10 too.
Anyways.
Enough about Georgia. Let's get right into it with your Philadelphia Eagles and the team that is not your favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys. That's one of the closest division races. According to the odds makers right now, the Cowboys are the slight favorite at plus 140.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia Eagles are plus 160. There might be some line movement going up to the season, but it's pretty much tomato. You pick who you want to win, and it's going to be one of those two guys. I don't see the Giants or the Washington Commanders jumping up there. So I think we know your reasoning, but go ahead and give it to me. Who are you taking in the NFC East this year?
I mean, you really have set me up for a non-convincing argument here. But genuinely, obviously it's a tight race. I'm not crazy to think that the Eagles win the division. America seems to agree that way. The odds were not that close when they came out. And it's slowly been betting down to shorter and shorter odds. People are clearly seeing what this team can do. I'm high on them, obviously, but I think there's a reason that a lot of America is too. I think they realized last year, late in the season, that they're a team that's going to run the ball, and that's what works for them. And yes, other teams have had a year and a half to figure that out, and maybe we'll adjust to that. But not all defenses like to just adjust to what's going on. They stick to their structure and what they've worked on in the offseason. And even if they are rushing the ball, now you have weapons downfield like A.J. Brown. So the targets there are becoming endless, and I think there's a lot to be said for that offense.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about the Philadelphia Eagles in this offseason, and the main reason is because of the addition of A.J. Brown, giving Hurts another target and a huge target. I mean, A.J. Brown was great in Tennessee, and now he's going to be in a system where he's just going to be able to be the main guy.
Yeah.
And the Eagles definitely needed to have a main guy because they haven't had a receiver that could just dominate in the past.
Yeah.
Shout out my boy Nelson Aguilar. Anyways, moving on. I'm not too hot to jump over the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm going to give you my reasons for my hesitation. So, Kenz and A.J. Brown, huge pickup. They made some great acquisitions to the offensive and defensive line, which is what they had to do following last season. But my main concern here, before I go and put my ticket in for the Philadelphia Eagles, is Jalen Hurts. I'm not sold on this guy yet, and I have no reason to be. In the past 2 years, his 2 years in the NFL, he has had a QBR that's between Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Not even bottom half of the league, bottom of the league of people, first strings and second strings. This guy has not proven much at all in his first 2 seasons. He ranked 25th in the NFL from passing from the pocket last year. I just am not ready to bet all my money on this team when they have an unproven quarterback like Jalen Hurts is.
I can see the argument for that. But when I think at who the competition is with the Cowboys, if I'm looking, head-to-head, who is a better team to win the division, yes, I do think the Eagles are a better team in that way. Obviously, you hear good things out of all training camps, but you've heard really good things recently from training camp and from preseason about Hurts. The small amount he did show in that preseason game, he played really well. And obviously that was a small sample size, but I have small reason to be pessimistic of where his career could be going. I think there's just more opportunity there. And you look at the Cowboys, they've been the Super Bowl or bust team for it feels like 2 decades. Like, when are they going to figure it out, you know? And a lot, they have the same quarterback, and I just think there's less morale.
Hey, they figured it out last year. They had a 10-win season, and they won the NFC East. I know that they didn't do anything in the playoffs, and that's fine with me, because I'm...
What was their record last season? I think they were 12. I think they were 12-5.
12-5, yeah. So 10-win season. They're looking to get their back-to-back 10-win season for the first time since like the late 90s. So I think that we're sleeping on the Cowboys a little bit here. They only got better in the offensive line. I mean, they were so banged up. Now they really have an elite unit up front. They had the second best pass block efficiency last year, and now they're adding Tyler Smith from Tulsa, a rookie they got in the first round. So the Cowboys have always been known for their good offensive line, and now it's going to be complete if they can stay healthy, which obviously is a big if.
Seems to be a problem over in Texas.
It seems to be, but if they can, then they're going to have an elite unit to be blocking for one of the best 1-2 punches in the league with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard.
I don't know. I just think like their win total, I think that's an absolutely inflated number. I think it was a miracle that they pulled off a 12-5 season. They played some pretty bad quarterbacks and some backup quarterbacks late in the season. There were some close games. Like, I don't know. I just don't think that was a true representation of what that team is. I think they got lucky, and I think the second half of their season helped them a ton. And I don't think it's going to look the same way this year. I don't know. I mean, they have a tough schedule, so do the Eagles, but in the way that comes at them, I just think they have too many things to figure out. I know you mentioned, like, the weapons on offense, but, I mean, they are scarce at wide receiver. You know, guys are going down, guys are leaving. CeeDee Lamb is, you know, your best wide receiver option. There's just a lack of experience there that is very concerning to me.
Yes, I mean, CeeDee Lamb is definitely your wide receiver one there. Michael Gallup will be coming off injury at some point earlier in the season, and then you have Dalton Schultz at tight end. So, not the best options for Dak Prescott. He's going to have to prove himself, certainly. And if he can have that season that people think that he can have, because it seems like he always has way too high of expectations, then this team is winning the division. But we'll agree to disagree on that. But let's dive into a player that we just mentioned. Tell me what you think about Ezekiel Elliott, because he has been on the decline for the last 5 years, but he still is a top 5 running back in the league according to most mock fantasy drafts and just according to just raw talent.
Right, like his regression relative to, you know, running backs in the league, obviously he's still one of the best, but it's just so hard because you look at it, his over rushing yards is 830.5. And it seems like a small number relative to where he's performed, but betting that number is essentially a parlay that he's going to stay healthy all season and he's going to keep the main role and that Pollard isn't going to be as involved. And that is a really tough parlay for me to be convinced into. Like, if he misses games, he's going under. If Pollard plays a bigger role, Zeke's going under. So there's just, it's so hard for me.
If the offensive line doesn't stay healthy.
Right, like there's so many things that have to work outside of him and within him to stay healthy for that number to hit. So it's a really tricky player prop for me.
Yeah, and I like that strategy when you're looking at player props is you have to factor in how many games are these guys going to miss across the board, but especially when you're looking at running backs. It's very, very, very common for a receiver or for running back to miss 4 games during the season. Still have a good year, but if you're only playing 13 games as opposed to 17, I don't know if that player prop is factoring that in.
I could see them with like the depth that they have at running back position kind of, and with the efforts to keep him healthy, kind of sharing the wealth a little more and not making it so, you know, one guy. So that is another factor. Not only maybe he is healthy, but maybe they want to preserve him being healthy so they don't give him the ball every play, and Pollard's getting some, you know, snaps too. So I don't know. They're lucky to have people to help him out at that position, but in terms of taking a player prop, I mean, he's got to be hitting every game for 17 games and being healthy, and that's just something I don't think I can ride.
Yeah. I will say, if Ezekiel Elliott is available in the 3rd round of my fantasy football draft, I'm going to get him without thinking twice about it.
Yeah.
Because
still a good fantasy guy.
A name like that in the 3rd round, I'll take that all day. Moving on, I'm going to give you another division winner that I really like. obviously the NFC East we could go on and on about
Right.
between the Cowboys and the Eagles. Another tight division though is the AFC North, where the Bengals and the Ravens are both the two front runners there, and then the Browns and the Steelers aren't far behind in the odds. But here's a team that I really like, and that's the Baltimore Ravens at plus 145 to win the division, plus money to win the division whenever I can get it. I'm all over it, especially when you look at the Ravens, who are returning so many injured players from last season. Lamar Jackson will be playing with a chip on his shoulder. His contract extension, I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I think it will before the season starts.
Right.
But regardless, I think Lamar Jackson is still one of the best quarterbacks in the league, the best dual-threat quarterback in the league, without a doubt. And I think people are forgetting how good the Ravens are when they have all their players healthy, which they do finally. J.K. Dobbins is back. I think he's going to have a huge year. Obviously, you lost Marquise Brown, but I think that the Ravens are a good division bet, and that is one of my 5 locks that I will get to eventually.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely worry about Lamar Jackson's offensive line. You know, that guy got hit last year hard and often, and that's something that they need to work on. You know, you hear about all just the drama that went on in the offseason. You know, receivers don't want to play with him. There's a reason people don't want to go to the Ravens, and you got to wonder how much that toys with the morality of the team. But I think he has a lot to prove, so I think he's in it to work hard this year.
All right, so we talked about your Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC East. Obviously, I don't have a cool flag behind me like you do, but I am rocking the jersey. Let's talk about the Carolina Panthers a little bit. This isn't the best. This is not one of the best teams in football, but it's also not one of the best divisions in football. You have the Buccaneers and the Saints, but then the Falcons and the Panthers are basically just going to be 5-win teams at best. But I know that you have a player on the Carolina Panthers that you want to talk about a little bit. I want to hear your thoughts on Baker Mayfield, our new guy in Charlotte.
I mean, in terms of player props, and because this is a betting podcast, it's very hard to want to take any over on a guy that's essentially quote-unquote competing with anyone else for the spot. Not to say that I don't think he's going to start, and he's obviously going to be the dominant quarterback, but the threat of Darnold is on his back, and I don't think the offensive coordinators will be scared to switch them around. So the thought of betting an over on anyone that has that target on their back is a little scary, but I do think he will perform considering just how low the bar is with Sam Darnold last year. But one play I did find that I like is Mayfield's over 21.5 passing touchdowns. I mean, he's hit at least 26 passing touchdowns in 2 of his last 3 seasons, and that was with one of the most run-heavy offenses in the NFL, and he's hitting those numbers. And now he has way more weapons. He has Christian McCaffrey. They're just a little more balance of an offense, so I don't see how he has any less opportunities than when he hit 26 with a run-heavy offense. So that's something I like, and even if he isn't playing every game, I think to get to 22 when he's hit well beyond that is a feasible thing.
Yeah. I like that over, obviously, but you gotta remember, if the Panthers are doing one thing right, it's their wide receiver core. They have a top 10 receiving unit with Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, and then the pass catching ability of Christian McCaffrey, if he can stay healthy, knock on wood.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good player prop there. But going back to one thing you said, talking about Sam Darnold standing over the shoulder of Baker Mayfield, I don't look at that as a target on his back, on Baker Mayfield's back. I look at that as a chip on his shoulder, because he has doubters not only in Cleveland but now in the whole NFL. Right. And I think he's going to be able to use that to motivate him to have a good season. Something like we saw 2 years ago in Cleveland. Yeah. Where he's playing from behind. I mean, this guy's a former walk-on. Went to Oklahoma. He was always playing as the underdog. Yeah. He kind of got a little complacent in Cleveland. We saw him just completely jump off the high mountain that he was on last year. Yeah. And now he's starting at the bottom again in Carolina. And I think that that's going to be something that will serve him well.
If there's one thing he does well, it's playing with new teams. And I think making it his team. I think he's successful with the newness of a new team around him. I don't think that's some quarterbacks. You would think that's a con, but for him, I think he does well in that situation. And like you said, that's something he's comfortable in. I wasn't high on him in the beginning of the summer. It's kind of just like between him and Darnold, it was like who sucks the least. I mean, the two of them combined for the worst touchdown interception ratio in the entire league. And these two are on the same roster together. So didn't love him in the beginning. He's definitely growing on me. Obviously, I would like to see him succeed. That's why I think that their passing touchdown prop is somewhere I'd like to go.
Yeah. So staying in that division, I'm going to go ahead and give you my favorite divisional lock, and this isn't a team that's favored. This is a team that's very much plus money, and that is the New Orleans Saints, who you can get at plus 320 right now.
Hell yeah.
To win the division. And obviously the Buccaneers are the big favorites, and that's the reason that it's so high plus money. But let me tell you, as a Panthers fan even, so this is all bias included, I'm all over the New Orleans Saints this year. I think that they are a slept-on team and will be one of the best in the NFC. When you look at this defensive unit, they are a top 10 defense in the league. They were top 5 in a lot of categories last year, and now they just added the Honey Badger. People aren't talking about that enough. Tyrann Mathieu is one of the best defenders in the league. So they're adding him, and then obviously their big issue last season was at the wide receiver position.
Right.
But they have absolutely reloaded in that category. Obviously,
is that the Ohio State?
Yep.
Yeah.
Chris Olave. Great draft pick. He's one of the
a speedster.
One of the quicker guys in the NFL as just a rookie. Obviously, Michael Thomas is coming back off injury. People are forgetting that he was one of the best wide receivers in the league before missing most of the last 2 seasons. And then they also added Jarvis Landry. So a great wide receiver room. They also get to play the Panthers and the Falcons twice, which could be, I hate to say this with all my heart, it could be 4 easy wins.
Wow.
And then, I know.
Not a true fan.
I'm just an honest fan that has witnessed terrible, terrible years in Carolina for most of my entire life. And then the Buccaneers are the team that they run into. This New Orleans Saints team, who had what you could call an off year last year, swept the Buccaneers last year. They have Tampa Bay's number.
They have something on the Bucs. I don't know what it is, but something about them. I mean, they get under their skin. They get the job done way more often than not.
They do. And I think that they're even better this year. I think they're on the come up, whereas the Buccaneers are on the decline. So I think that they'll be able to get by the Bucs and win the division. Plus 320.
Okay.
Take it to the bank. That is a quick lock for the day.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Mackenzie, give me a player prop. I want to hear one of your quick locks.
Just from anywhere?
Go anywhere you want.
All right, let's go somewhere not as fun, a little less sexy team. We're going to go to the Bears. We're going to go Darnell Mooney over 925.5 receiving yards.
Wow.
The thing is, he is one, if not the only one, NFL caliber receiver on that team. I know they have David Montgomery too with them, but that's the only option. And sometimes you have to look at that and be like, well, who's the only guy that they would throw the ball to? And I think the difference between him and the running back is when they're getting blown out in the second half, there's going to be way more Hail Marys downfield to Darnell Mooney than there is to anyone else. So I think those second half blowout, just Hail Mary launched downfield, I think it started racking up these numbers a little heavier than anyone's going to think.
Lots of Hail Marys coming in Chicago.
That's what I'm saying. And who's on the other side of them? My guy. So we'll see.
My guy?
My guy, Darnell Mooney.
Oh, Darnell Mooney. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if Justin Fields has that arm. I think that we might have just set a record for the Quick Locks podcast for saying the first positive thing about the Chicago Bears
ever
of the entire offseason. And I'm going to completely go back from
winning
I'm
games.
going to completely go back from that statement.
I'm just taking my guy and saying he's the only one that can catch the ball on this team. So he's going over.
Hey, I like the optimism in Chicago, and I'm going to do what is probably the complete opposite of that, but it's not saying that your player prop can't hit. I'm going to say that the Chicago Bears are the lowest scoring team in the NFL at 7-1.
I'm not disagreeing.
I'm not hating on your boy Darnell Mooney, but
I didn't say he's passing touchdowns or receiving touchdowns. I'm just saying
he's getting yards.
He's getting yards.
All right, so here's my reasoning for the Chicago hate. Obviously, football fans don't need to hear too much about why the Bears are going to suck this season.
Yeah.
All the Chicago Bears fans that I've talked to have agreed that they're going to suck.
Yeah.
And this is coming from Bears fans. So, obviously, first-year head coach who's defensively minded. Justin Fields is going to be thrown into a new offensive system in year 2. You don't like to see that from a young quarterback. That's kind of what leads to them having a bad career. I don't hope that from Justin Fields at all, but I do think he's going to take a step back, or it's going to take him a while to actually start to do some things.
Right. It does stink because typically, like, year 2 quarterbacks, you know, they start to excel. Like, that is a big year for them. And Justin Fields is one of those few guys that I'm like, he's just set up for failure, man. Like, he's not the sophomore.
The worst offensive line in the league.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do a little sprinkle on Bears' lowest scoring team in the league, 7-1.
Okay.
And in addition to that, sorry Bears fans, all disclaimer, I just want to say thank you for making me money this year because I'm so confident in these bets. I'm also gonna take at even better odds at 12-1. The worst regular season record. Chicago Bears.
Wow.
Don't get off of the Houston Texans tape. The Chicago Bears are going to have the worst regular season record. All I need is a tie. Say that they have 3 wins and the Texans have 3 wins. I'm still cashing in that 12-1 ticket. In addition to all the reasons I just said on why their offense is
they're going to be like, in addition to, like, here's another prop.
I might.
Oh.
I might.
All right.
But I was just going to say, in addition to all the things I said about their terrible offense, their defense isn't great either. They just got rid of all of their defensive line, including Khalil Mack. This team is rebuilding, and they're not doing a good job of it.
Yeah, I don't even call it a rebuild. I mean, they literally brought in nothing on the offensive line. No offensive weapons. Like, what did they do in the offseason? Am I missing something? It's hard to keep track of everyone, but I
mean, they got rid of a lot of players.
Yeah.
They didn't bring in anyone.
Now we're just cleaning out. We haven't moved in, but we're just cleaning out
and
the house.
the one good thing I like about the Bears is our Georgia boy Roquan Smith at linebacker, and now he's asking to leave. So I'm all over the Chicago Bears hate, and I'm gonna bet literally every single anti-Bears bet there is before the season, and I look forward to it.
Cheers.
Because it's great value.
We're all here for the value. Listen, you can make money on the great teams. You can also make money on the shitty teams.
That is very, very true.
And sometimes that's where I like to hang out. Like Darnell Mooney, over 425 receiving yards.
All right. You heard it here first. I pumped us up a little bit for giving the Bears some love, and then I just absolutely
killed them. Yeah.
Do you have any more player props for us? I
I
know that you like to dabble in the player
do
prop
like to
industry.
dabble in the player props. Let me think conference-wise.
So I'll go ahead and give.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll go ahead and give. I gave you my 2 favorite locks so far in
Yeah.
the division, and that's the Saints at plus 320
Yeah.
and the Ravens at plus 145. I'm gonna go ahead and parlay those 2 together.
Okay.
In addition to 3 other teams, and wait until you hear this payout. Plus 4,000. You can bet $100 to win 4,063 if you put this parlay in right now, and I think you should. In addition to the Ravens and the Saints winning their division, I'm also going to go with the Bills at minus 230. That's not a surprise. The Indianapolis Colts at minus 125.
What?
They just have to get past the Titans.
Yeah.
If you want to hate on that, go ahead. But I think that the Colts are going to win that division. And then the Green Bay Packers at minus 155. You parlay those 5 division winners together, and only really one of them is a big stretch, and that's the Saints because they're plus 300. You will win $4,000 off a $100 bet. You might not be seeing me after this season because I might be cashing in a $4,000 check and never have to work a day a month. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, big guy.
Inflation, I won't be able to get anywhere at $4,000.
Talk about inflation. That does remind me, Packers quick. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers has not been shy to tell us how things are going there, and with the receivers are a bit chaotic. I'm going to take the under on Christian Watson, their rookie wide receiver. Not that there's any huge, great talent ahead of him. There's just veterans, and I don't know how much he'll be able to prove himself that he can go. I think it's somewhere around like 650, which is low.
650?
Receiving yards.
Oh, that's way more than I thought it would be.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I like that under.
So, yeah, I mean, I think he'll have his time, sure. I just don't think it's a season, especially given the chaos that Rodgers has alluded to with
He
the
likes
receivers.
to throw it to guys that he knows will catch it.
Right, and I don't think he thinks Christian Watson's going to catch it. And I don't think he is either. But we'll see.
All right. So, hating on the North Dakota State Bison there on the under. But I like how you're playing it both ways. You got one wide receiver going over and one going under. I like the diversity there.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get into our Super Bowl bets? Because I'm really excited to share mine.
You tell me who you think's winning the Super Bowl, Taft. I feel like you've been itching for this one.
Oh, I've been waiting all day. And
Can I guess?
love it.
Actually, I won't guess.
No, please guess. I'll give you 3 guesses
Okay.
because that's how much of a. Well, never mind. I'm gonna shut up. Let's 3 guesses. I'll give you.
You can't lie though and just be like no.
No, I have it written down,
Okay.
and I'm about to lay on the facts when I tell you who it is.
Saints.
No. That'd be crazy though.
Ravens?
Mm-mm.
I feel like it's something weird.
I haven't
like
talked
that.
about him yet. I have not said a word about this team yet. We also haven't talked about their division. I just gave you hints. I'm going to put you on the clock. You have 10 seconds.
The Vikings?
The Los Angeles Chargers
Oh.
hammer my boy Justin Herbert plus 1,400 to win the Super Bowl. Oh, great value. Don't even get me started. So, I love to look at trends and think of why something happened in the past and why it can happen again. The AFC West is the best division this year. You have the Chargers, the Raiders, the Broncos, and the Chiefs. Far and none the best division, maybe the best division we've seen in the NFL in the past 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know who came out of the best division last year? The Los Angeles Rams in the NFC West, which was by far the best division. And they ended up winning the Super Bowl. I think the Chargers will make it out of the AFC West, and I think that will get them to the Super Bowl. Obviously, Justin Herbert is a star in just his 3rd year, and he has great weapons with Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and Austin Eckler. And then on the other side of the ball, their one thing they were lacking was a good pass rush and a rush defense. They added Khalil Mack. Now they have Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack coming off the edge.
Scary.
So scary. And they also have one of the better secondaries in the AFC. I think the Chargers are a sleeper for this year's Super Bowl.
Are the Chargers Utes? Are we a Chargers and a Utes podcast?
Yes. We're 100% a Chargers podcast, if that's okay with you.
If we're a Utah Utes podcast that I'm in.
Let's do it. Look at us.
Let's get
here on the
t-shirts.
East Coast.
Utes Charge. Charging Utes.
Charging Utes. Oh my gosh. That's just an elite name. Take it to the bank. Chargers and Utah.
A little parlay guy.
Charging Utes. You never know.
Yeah.
Little parlay Utah to make the college football. No, Utah to win the Pac-12.
What? Utah to make the playoff, man.
Well, okay.
Don't
Those go hand in hand. Those go hand in hand.
Okay.
I think. I mean, it didn't go hand in hand last year, I guess. But all right, I'm fine with that. Utah to make the playoff and Chargers Super Bowl.
We gotta find a value on that.
It's got to be like, obviously.
We'll keep you guys updated. We'll get to it.
Well, no, let's come up with it. So plus 1,400 are the Chargers, and Utah was plus 210. I saw it dropped even to like plus 230.
Fuck, I gotta get on that now.
That's a parlay of like plus 2,500.
Okay.
Shit. Did we just come up with something? Charging Utes, baby.
Charging Utes. Anyways, we're so close to football season. These are our last futures for now.
Can't wait. Got some win totals coming soon.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for those, but those are the quick locks in the NFL.